Alright, we're live on YouTube. Yeah, so when you have the stream options, share a screen, you don't share the screen, you share literally home, YouTube, TV, Google. Yeah, and it should have sound. I can also test it on my phone. Alright, well, welcome. We are at the Styrian Grand Prix again. This is going to be a fascinating race. We have the Red Bull up front, Verstappen. We actually have Norris taking his first pole because of Bottas's three position penalty that he picked up in the final practice there on Friday. So he actually qualified in second, but the three-place penalty throws him down to fifth. And then Gasly actually showing up fantastically well in this, and he's going to be in sixth as well. Everybody's going to be pretty much on mediums that we need to be worried about. And then other than that, it is going to be the warm-up lap here, the formation lap, and then we're going to get on our way going here, and it's 1 minute away from that moment on the nice Rolex clock here in Styria. This is the technically, I guess you could say, the home race for Red Bull and also for Max. Not Max because it's in the Netherlands, but for Red Bull because it's in Austria. In that sense, this is one of the fastest tracks. This is one of the shortest tracks. You see lap times almost under 1 minute. It has 3 CRS zones, and you pretty much average around 200 miles an hour the entire time, which is absolutely bonkers if you really think about it. It is really cool because actually from this view here, you can pretty much see the entire track all in one camera shot, which is very unlike most of the tracks. A lot of different things. Is one of the most fascinating things is actually in turn 3 as you see them going around that Aramco sponsorship over there. A lot of the teams have been trying to figure out how to actually keep the back tire on the track because as they're going through that corner, they're actually taking up the back right actually comes off the track, so you're only on 3 tires. They've been trying to figure out how to actually get more traction and get more control on that as well. So that's been quite fascinating between the teams. And then you can see the drivers' championship standings here as well. We have Max Verstappen leading the championship, and then also Red Bull leading the constructors. I would like to be able to tell you that this is a stat that this is the first time in a very long time that this has ever happened, but I don't necessarily have that stat right now. But I'm assuming Mercedes has never not been in the lead up until this moment. And then I will also. Yeah, this should be the better, one of the more exciting races. As I kind of mentioned, Buongiorno to Paolo. As I kind of mentioned, this is has 3 DRS zones, so that also opens up basically 3 passing lanes that we have throughout the track as well. So that's gonna be fascinating. The biggest problems that they were actually running into practice yesterday is you actually look at the track temp, and the track temp is absolutely, I would say, through the roof. It's basically Yeah, it's basically the same temperatures as Baku and kind of things you would see in the Middle East. So it's quite fascinating in that sense that there is not um, really anything. Oh wow. Yeah, they still haven't started for me, so yeah, you have to use the YouTube one. And it looks like here Leclerc actually, as you can see it in his right wing, and then you have a Mazepin, you have a Haas, an AlphaTauri, and Alpine that actually ran into each other in the back. And it looks like Latifi, Giovinazzi, and then Verstappen's going to be able to use this, and he's going to have space, and they're going to go 3 wide wells. And then here Leclerc, even with the broken wind, and you see the Alpine getting loose there, and then you have the Vettel on the inside as well. Or no, it's Lance Stroll. And then everybody still at the top is going to be still in the same position. Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris, Perez, Bottas. And then you see if Stroll makes a move on Alonso, he's able to get past him on the, I think that's turn 9 down there as well. So this is already off to a cracking start, I would have to say. And then Gasly is the AlphaTauri that did find himself in that little accident and scuffle. Disappointing for him, as he is basically started 6th, and then Leclerc goes straight into the pit stops because he needs to get a new front right wing. Yeah, this is actually, well, wow, that was a really bad puncture there for Gasly. Hopefully, there's not more damages on the rest of the car, because unfortunately for him, I mean, he's fantastic qualifying. He's been doing fantastic. It's in the back that they clip each other. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And the Williams car is also pretty much destroyed there as well. Both of them are running on 3 tires. And it's going to take some time to actually get that tire off of the actual. Hamilton here complaining about that something must have comes off somebody's car and damaged. Oh, there's a lockup there by the by signs there on his left front. This should basically give enough space to the Red Bull to have that second advantage there to be able to spread themselves out, and also have the Pierre Gasly is going to be out of the race. They're not going to be able to get it out.
There for a sec.
Big damage occurred for Verstappen and Hamilton. Perfect getaways.
Yeah, that's where they needed to be. All calm, no locking up.
Yeah, not much there for Verstappen and Hamilton. They're just kind of racing their own race at the start.
Yeah, I mean they basically
Not
had
caring
the
about the
space
traffic behind them.
Yeah, they had enough space, and the hardest part about this track is that basically they tried to get 3 cars wide, and there's actually not enough
Okay,
space
so
in the
here's
track
the
for it.
Leclerc.
Great slipstream from Valtteri Bottas as Mercedes. And we're now
Let's see what happens to the wing here.
Yeah, they're all trying to take the
oh,
same line, and he hits into. Oh, right there, he actually hits the tire.
Oh, Sonoda, he hits the back left tire. Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if the stewards might take a bit of a look at that one. Gasly, as you can see, then hits.
Oh, jeez, and the Haas just kind of goes up in the air here. Gets clipped in the back. Oh, okay, that was the viewpoint from Gasly.
Who has retired from the race.
Yeah, that's just kind of disappointing in the sense of, like, I feel like all those cars, they were. I feel like I don't know who's. All right, well, that's.
Oh, and then Gasly hits the. Okay,
it's not really his fault.
It's not really his fault though. Haas comes up with a lot of speed. Front left tire there into.
It's
the
kind
back
of one
right.
of those moments where it's like there's so many cars around, like there's just not enough space on the track. Like I don't know what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I get, yeah, he does kind of cause the incident, but at the same time, like, he has
So
no
our top
space.
four, our top four are intact at the moment right now. Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris, and Perez. I gotta say, Norris has been doing work here. A fantastic qualification for him. This was his first podium in his career, happened at this ring on the first race of last year. So I expect him to have another great outing, and so far his McLaren is doing very, very well
Yeah,
here in third position.
I think Matthew McCampbell Hill as was we have a George Russell fan. George Russell actually
Nice.
vying for the seat of Mercedes. There has actually been no guarantee to Bottas that he will be the second driver there at Mercedes for next season, and George Russell is technically the next one in line from the Williams cars. Mercedes does partner with Williams in a lot of their kind of their drivers, so he is technically vying for that spot in the worst car in the grid. He has to show that he has the potential to be in the best car in the grid. So pretty interesting. It'll be have a basically a lineup of two British drivers, which should be fascinating.
Yeah, Russell, I can't actually go to my notes because that would kill the Discord stream, although I had recorded something to pick.
In the points for George Russell for a Williams driver, his highest start since he was second on the grid in.
And then here, one of the more I would actually kind of have to say one of the more disappointing things has been Daniel Ricciardo, actually him not. If you actually look at Lando and you see actually his speed and the amount of stuff.
Austrian. Oh, go ahead.
If you look at this, you necessarily look at the speed that's been going on from the McLarens. You always kind of scratch your head and like, what's going on with Ricardo? And once again, this is one of those races where you're kind of just scratching your head and you're like, what is necessarily going on with Ricardo again? It just doesn't really make much sense. Also, you're frozen on Zoom.
Yeah, it's like mine is going to be coming in and out all day. There's no Ethernet here, so I'm just
need more power in the straights. He's very fast. So Red Bull here asking for more power in the straights. The McLaren has always been actually been doing very well in the straightaways. One of the more interesting things here, most of the manufacturers for most of these engines, which is you basically have the Mercedes, you have the Ferrari, you have the French, and then you also have the Honda. The Honda's turbos actually do better at altitude. So you see the Red Bulls and you actually see the AlphaTauris do somewhat better and more power on these straightaways, which is kind of interesting that Perez is complaining about it because their turbos are designed to actually work better at higher altitudes than the other turbos, which is quite fascinating to be honest with you. But it does give the advantage to the Red Bulls and the AlphaTauris here. And then here, as you see, the AlphaTauri right there making a move on Ricardo because nobody's passing Norris.
Yeah, okay, I think I'm back. My computer has like fits and starts. This thing is not very strong. What was I gonna say? Oh, you were talking about Ricardo. Yeah. Starting, not a good qualifying for Ricardo. Qualifying 13th this week. So again, you're kind of like, and still 13th actually. Which is kind of the big mystery, right? As far as Norris's
because he actually had
10
one of the
positions ahead.
He actually had one of the best practices as well, so he was doing very well throughout the whole thing.
Well, he hit a quarter of the field basically, didn't he, before turn 3, which is a good effort.
He did that. So we're looking at this battle at the moment. Norris, Perez and Bottas, who needs to try and play his way into contention, or is Valtteri Bottas learning a little bit from Sergio Perez at Paul Ricard last week? Remember how in the early stages...
And here we'll still have Verstappen is opening up the lead, and you actually start to see here Verstappen and Hamilton are opening up the gap between pretty much the rest of them as well. Norris is not actually able to keep up with the pace of Hamilton and Verstappen at the same time, so that's going to be actually just increasing the gap. They're going to have around, I mean, the gap between now, here's Ricardo on the radio. Ricardo is asking for more power. And one of the more interesting things on this track is actually when they're trying to time when they're going to pass and when they're not going to pass. Since the track temperatures are so hot, they actually almost need, when they were doing qualifying, they actually almost needed 2 cool down laps completely. So it makes it pretty interesting when they can push and when they cannot push. They actually have to be very careful because they don't want to overheat the car, and nor do they want to necessarily overheat the tires in a lot of these passing situations. So they almost have to basically wait and want to do it at the necessary time. And thank you, Matthew, for the sub. Very much appreciated. Hope you're enjoying.
Thank you, thank you.
The long game here.
Yeah, so far so good on so far interesting race of a lot of drama here in the first segment. Folks are wondering this is the first of a double header, actually, if you will, in Austria, right? We will be back, not you and I will be on vacation next week, but the F1 circuit will be back here next week for what is actually the Austrian Grand Prix. This technically Styrian Grand Prix, named after the state or province in Austria, here in the southeast of Austria. So we'll get to basically 2 races in Red Bull's home.
And Perez is gonna make the move, and he does off of the Norris mistake
What?
there.
Wait a second, I was like, that is confusing.
Yeah, no, Norris made a mistake there on the turn there, and Sergio was able to take the inside line, took it, and then just went right in front of him. And now it's going to be a chase down for Norris. Is one of not gonna. It's not the greatest move there by Norris, but I don't know if he really wants to waste his tires on this at this moment. So kind of an interesting moment there for Norris. But hey, we're gonna probably see a replay of it here, and here they're going. They're always flat out on the straightaway. And he's picking up the pace. He takes the inside line, and yeah.
Yeah, just more aggressive here into the turn. Norris goes outside, brakes a little too hard, and then just lets himself get overtaken.
Yeah, Norris takes out the outside line, which he may have not even been expecting him to actually make the move on him, which could have been the case because he didn't try to protect or defend anything. And then Bottas is going to make the same move, and then he's going to be able to throw Norris down to 5th. So Norris kind of, I don't know if there's something necessarily wrong with the car, but I feel like he's lost all his pace.
Either that or poor communication by his team that didn't tell him that he basically had Perez there that was about to eat him alive, and Bottas, of course, wanting to make up for that lost track position on the penalty, saying in an interview that, well, everybody's out to get you. And
oh, we lost him. You will be back. And you're stuck with me, which is fine. But yes, this is actually, so the gap, so this is interesting because the gap between the top 2 is now basically extended. So there's a 13-second difference between Hamilton and Perez through the entire thing. So that basically means Verstappen and Hamilton are pretty much racing their own race. And if you look at the live track map that we have actually on stream, you basically actually see that. You see Verstappen out there pretty much by himself, and then Hamilton like trailing him as well there, and they're completely on their own. So that's becoming their own race, and this is going to be interesting because you have both of the Red Bulls. You have one Red Bull in front, then you have a Mercedes, then you have a Red Bull, and then you have a Mercedes. And the time differences between those leaves it open to if they want to go long, if one of those cars wants to go long, another one wants to go short. So it starts to open up the conversation of what actual tactics you want to use between both of your cars. And do you watch football? It depends which football you're talking about. I watch both. I watch American football and also soccer, football, European football, as ever you would like to describe it. And then here, actually, Yuki. So Yuki's he's catching up now in 9th, and then Norris they're communicating to him that they're going to go plan A, which is to extend. So they're most likely going to go longer on these tires, and that leaves it to a position where he's pretty much open to not care as much about his track position. So he didn't actually want to battle with Perez and Bottas, so that probably most likely was just a conversation that they had between themselves on the team, just let them pass and not waste the tires on it, which makes complete sense. And yes, I do watch the Euros. I'm an Italian fan, so the game yesterday was quite a heart attack, but we managed to pull through, which was fantastic. I think there's a few games today that should be good ones as well, but the big ones kind of come, I think they come more next week, to be honest with you. Or later in the week. I think on Tuesday is the England match, which should be quite a fascinating one against Germany. But today it is Netherlands, Czech Republic, and Belgium, Portugal, actually. So the Belgium-Portugal one today is an absolute cracker. That one I will watch. I will be back in time to be able to watch that one. That one I'm going to be excited for. That should be a good match. And then here, well, back to the racing. This once again is one of those moments where I kind of keep saying the front 2 are going to be completely by themselves, it seems, and then everybody else is going to be a battle within themselves. You see the lap times are still not necessarily close to anything that we actually saw in qualifying, which is quite interesting. It's once again, I don't think they're pushing as hard as they necessarily need to, and then Verstappen's just going to keep the pace for the entire crew, for the entire track here. And at a certain point, you would have to say Verstappen and everybody's going to start lapping each other. We're only at 14 laps, and they're also almost necessarily still right on each other. So hopefully Ritz figures out how to get back in here, which I'm sure he will. He is traveling, so he's not so it's a little different for him. But here we still have it's actually the different tire ages that you're able to see on the up on the screen here, and basically the two leaders are going to stay on the mediums. You see a group of people staying on the soft, so that makes sense. If you actually look at Norris, he's staying on the soft, so he actually wants to extend those as much as he can because he knows he can't. He basically wants to turn those softs into mediums and see if he can stay on the same race pace and stay around the same ballpark as the other medium tires. There is the Ferrari team principal, which there's clearly something in the car. On the smaller tracks, you actually see the Ferrari do extremely well. So when we were watching them in Monaco, and then Baku was actually not too bad for the Ferraris as well. More the street tracks, and they were actually doing pretty well throughout the entire thing. And then the second you get to a high-speed track, it is just awful for them. They seem to lose all their pace, and they seem to do fine in the corners, but I just feel like they have no pace on the straightaways, which in a lot of these situations is pretty much all the pace you need. So it's just kind of disappointing in general for where the Ferraris are. I mean, you look at Leclerc hit him there in 16th, and it just doesn't necessarily seem right. And you see all the cars there grouping up to go into turn 3. That is the turn that we were talking about, where basically the back right comes out and actually is not on the ground. It's pretty neat. And then we already have our first lap. Latifi has gotten lapped. This is not Mazepin is getting lapped for the first time, so that's actually hats off to him for not getting lapped this time.
Sebastian Vettel, and then comes Vettel's former Ferrari teammate Kimi Raikkonen, all joining this queue. A lot of carriages out there.
It's good though, isn't it? A Williams ahead of an Alfa.
And it seems as if you actually look at times, pretty much everybody just made a line and waiting to be able to pass each other. Nobody's really in DRS range of each other. The battle for 7th here, I'm curious to see what the actual lap times, the sector times are. Everybody's all
Fernando Alonso led trade.
Turning it around, but you know,
yeah, the only actual Vettel has DRS basically on signs, but other than that, they don't have anything else.
Max Verstappen. So,
battle for 7th again. I wish they could just show now we are here. So there you go, Matthew. Here we're gonna have an inside view with George Russell, seeing if he can make a move there on the veteran Alonso. And he actually has 4 points, which is the drivers' championship there for Russell. Pretty much for being in, I guess you could say, the worst car possible, or one of the worst cars in the grid. That is a pretty good spot for him to actually be.
Wily old campaigner Fernando Alonso will, I'm sure, not be feeling too much pressure despite the queue of cars behind him. For how much longer can he keep that Alpine in front, and when does someone want to pull the trigger behind and maybe try the undercut? Stop first and then.
And here continue to kind of see how Russell is doing on the Williams here.
The guy that was in front of you responds. He can't respond by keeping his.
And at this point, we're kind of most of the cars here are basically just trying to play the next pit stop and kind of play the next strategy of that.
It's still the right thing to do if you can, but it won't be anything like.
I don't really think we'll be seeing much of any extreme crazy moves or anything like that until we start seeing the next pit stops and then seeing where the actual strategies pan out. It's kind of where the next spot of this, and then we lost him again.
So I'm sure he's rather enjoying the fact that there's a train appearing.
Okay, George, we need to convert to plan B for reliability. So pick up the pace.
Russell is actually going to be going to plan B, which is a different, which is, I guess they're going to go more long.
They are pumping out a lot of horsepower, but you've got less drag, less downforce.
And hold on, I need to.
As well, so that suggests they want to get him out of the slipstream because he was. In DRS, he had his rear wing and he's 6/10 behind.
Just trying to figure out how to get my brother back in here.
But they're not pulling him into the pits. at this moment in time. So do they want him just to try and hang back a little bit to cool that car, I wonder? But by doing that, he's going to give all the encouragement to Yuki Tsunoda, who's currently in 9th and getting DRS as well. Anthony, to you.
The drivers are saying that the wind is starting to pick up. Max Verstappen saying, whoa, I had a big moment in
I'll figure it out later.
I just rode on board with him through there.
And then one of the things here that are going to be picking up is actually, so this was actually pretty interesting. Yesterday in qualifying, they were actually talking about the wind and the different differences on these turns here, and you actually hear Verstappen, he was complaining about it, that there was a gust of wind on one of these corners. He actually lost traction on it. But we've actually seen that happened to him last race too, where he was actually going to that corner and then completely lost traction. You're going to make a move here. Is the AlphaTauri's going to be able to make the move? I don't think so. No, he's going to hold him off really well there once again. That's really good defense there. And then you're going to continue seeing the AlphaTauri kind of push on Ocon, who actually, here's just Hamilton's radio. Hamilton says he's struggling here, and Verstappen saying the same thing, that the car is a little more difficult to drive, which makes sense. I mean, they're both basically like 22 laps on their mediums. Verstappen has one more lap that he had it from qualifying, so in that sense, I mean, it kind of makes sense. They're both in the same shoes, and they're also pushing the pace way faster than most of the other cars, so they're going through more of the tires. That was a kind of a really aggressive line that was there played. I think that was Sainz. He almost went off into the grass, actually. And then here you can kind of, that's not the angle to see it, but in some of these angles you can see the back right come off of the actual track, and it was just quite funny because these cars then are just driving on 3.
At the top part of the circuit on the outside of the corner, and if it sits down, then the rain is going to start coming, and if it falls over, then the wind has got a bit too strong as well.
And do you believe in the tooth fairy and all
I need to invite back.
Cows and rain and wind. That's what you need. Sorry, tooth fairies? It's not real? Damn.
Right there it is.
To that age when my teeth will start falling out as well. I was hoping for
Okay, we're back.
This is Lewis Hamilton's tyres.
And then there's going to be a close-up shot of Lewis's tires. Honestly, not the worst that we've ever seen. You see some marks on them, but you don't see anything too crazy. Here's going to be the same look on Verstappen's tires. Same thing. Nothing. It doesn't look awful, but you can see some lines starting to form on them. Then again, we've seen a lot worse. Actually, you can see it on the right front. There is almost like a gash on the right front of the tire there. That one takes the most punishment on this track as well. Here you can see everybody drinking their nice paper boxed water in the Red Bull pit lane.
Out of turn 3 we go. Carlos Sainz right behind him. Sebastian.
And then here we're actually going to see a fastest sector 1 set by Vettel. Once again, also Vettel and Stroll, the difference once again between these two cars, two teammates who are going to listen to Bottas's radio. So Bottas is actually being told that he has more pace, and he is actually faster than Hamilton, which is not typically the situation.
Not typically the case, indeed. But Bottas there, the gap right now to the leaders, 21 seconds behind.
And what that means is Red Bull can just, when they've got such a gap and they're not at risk.
What is this? Just a replay of the two Haas drivers there. Oh my goodness. A little bit of a wheel lock up on.
Yeah, but they didn't actually touch each other. Schumacher locks up his right front, and then he's actually, and then.
Oh, he's got
and
a
then
flat
Nikita,
spot there.
they both are locking up and passing each other, which is kind of hilarious. Yeah, I'm sure Gunther is about to piss himself watching that. This is the worst thing he could ever see.
All right, so for the folks that are on the soft tires, we see the pit stop strategy, pit window perhaps open for the time being.
Yeah, the pit window is going to open, but I was kind of saying this before, it's pretty interesting. It's not necessarily a rerun of the last race, but you're in a spot where you have Red Bull 1, Mercedes 2, Red Bull 3, Mercedes 4. So you have the situation where you can send people long, and then you can send people for the undercut, and you can send someone to pit, or send someone to pit right now. So you can run multiple strategies with both of your cars and see which one ends up working out. But most people, they're saying that this is a one-stop strategy on the soft tires, which I think is kind of bonkers, to be honest with you. I don't think you're going to be able to go 40 plus laps just on one set of tires if after 23, 24 they're already gone.
Yeah, you'd have to go basically 50 at this point. The team that doesn't have that luxury right now is McLaren, with Ricardo still sitting in 13th and Norris up in 5th. So they are just going to have to go for it. With Norris, you don't really have a long short option there. Intervals, we have Verstappen opening about a 5-second lead right now over Hamilton. He's got 14 and a half seconds there between second and third, and Bottas running down Perez, only 2.3 seconds behind him. Norris in 5th, about 10 seconds behind. So Norris, as you were mentioning, yeah, off the pace there.
Yeah, but what Norris is doing, it's actually slightly different here. They did say they were going to go for plan A, which is actually going for long. He is on the soft, so he wants to make the softs last as long as possible, maybe one stop it, and then get the advantage. So they were basically telling him that he needs to just relax and not actually push the tires too bad. So it kind of made sense of why he was just leaving them off. Not actually push the tires too bad. Then if you want to watch the actual race, we dropped the link in Discord there. If you all want to check it out, you can hop in Discord.
It should actually be working. I'm just leaving that computer to do its thing. I have gotten another computer to do this actual call, because apparently the one I have can't do two things at once. I suppose much like myself. Perez being hunted here by Mercedes. Mercedes giving Bottas the green light to go after him here. But still, 3 seconds is the gap. Does Bottas have somebody in front? Yeah, he's got some traffic there, I think, right?
Yeah, Bottas has been dealing with that kind of all day, to be honest with you. Sorry, I'm just trying to resize a few things. I want to get the actual track map more.
Now, what's really interesting about this set of races, though, is that you're gonna see a set of strategies play out this week, and then be interesting to see a different set of strategies play out next week when we come back, and you're essentially racing on the same racetrack, like just a week apart, right? Especially if the weather conditions end up being similar. Whoa, okay, there goes Leclerc. Nice pass there on the Alpine. Leclerc trying to work his way back up top after having to take an early pit to replace a damaged right wing off of the start. Nice move by Leclerc. He's trying to claw his way back into the top 10.
There's Ocon once again, unfortunately finding himself in pretty bad positions here. Did actually sign his new 3-year deal, and then whoa, Lewis almost literally lost the car completely there.
Well, yeah, a little bit of a
He's
shake
on the radio.
There
he's starting to. Lewis said he's starting to get small vibrations. I think that was a pretty big vibration when he almost lost it there. That was a really good job.
0.3, though.
That was a really good job by him to actually just keep it on the track, though.
Is this the replay of that? Yeah, a little bit. You can see how the tires end up moving. Oh, the back left, Fran, actually went off. That's what happened.
Oh yeah, he just went too far onto the.
Yeah.
He clipped the gravel, which basically made him lose traction. That actually made it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was more just kind of a mistake by him. He went a little too close. And then here's Yuki in a position we typically don't see him. Representing the AlphaTauri team, as Gasly unfortunately had to go out because of a puncture early in the race. But here is Tsunoda and Sainz going at it, and I think they are within 1 second of each other, so Sainz should be able to get that DRS zone enabled on him. And now you're starting to see Russell is going to come into the pit as well, so he's going to go to this pit stop for Verstappen on the radio here. He's complaining the same thing. The wind is making it difficult. This is one of the main things at this track. You also see the wind and the track times be such a problem. The wind basically makes you lose all your downforce on, and here's going to be the Russell pit. As a
They're
the left
stuck
rear took a
with
pretty long time.
No, there's something else going on here. Fuel? They're- No, there was something
No, they're
wrong.
good. There was something.
It's probably debris. Paul, could you see anything? I think
Anyway,
Hold on, listen to Paul.
gas canister sitting at the side of it, and that's how it works. You can explain that. There's a Red Bull in the pits. I'm just trying to see who it is.
Perez pits.
Paris pits in 4.8. That is slow.
Rear left took too long to get off. And the rear left was stuck there, so he's going to lose around 2 to 3 seconds. And Red Bull's actually been the best, on average the best pit stop times out of everybody. They're actually trying to figure out how to make these pit stops less advantageous, because Red Bull has actually managed to get them down to around 1.8 seconds is their best pit stop. And the FIA has started to figure out, it's like, wait, these people are pitting in 1 second. Something's wrong here. So here's the AlphaTauri come in. Bottas is told to go as fast as he can, as fast as possible. And you just saw in that picture there, the Ferrari did almost spin out. I wasn't able to see who that was. But I think the problem there's a really nice pit job there by Tsunoda. They probably gave him Gasly's crew, since Gasly doesn't race anymore.
Bottas just got called into the pit.
Yeah, Bottas is coming in, box. That's most likely to cover Checo.
Probably. They're
And
probably
then
going to
they
want to stay
probably
close
also
here.
saw Checo's time, and they were like, we can do better than that.
Well,
on the pit stop, so you were able to make off.
2.6, so yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, here they're
they
2.6, and then Bottas decides not to spin out on the.
No, yeah. So this was an interesting one. So apparently, Mercedes was trying a different way of exiting the pit, which is having him exit in second gear, and so he got caught with a little extra wheel spin. But yeah, this time no griefing in the pit lane.
And they called that one perfectly right, because Bottas slots right in front of Perez and gives him a 3 to 4 second gap. So let's assume Bottas made the call and nobody else did, because nobody listens to him on the team, right? So
yeah,
if
so
Valtteri makes that move there, and then Norris is still going long. Hamilton's going to come in and pit as well. We'll see how this pit is going to go.
Clean. 2.2, actually better, about 0.2 better than the Bottas pit there.
That was a very good pit stop there by Mercedes. And yeah, the reason why they actually try to do that, the difference there is why they were probably changing a new way to get out of the pit lane, is because most of the time it's actually, you get brand new tires on, so you actually need to like warm up the actual tire and make sure it's sticky enough. So you actually want to like burn the tires out for a second and do it in the back. The problem is at this track, between there, it's actually not pavement, it's like painted, so you don't have the traction. When if you try to do the burnout on the paint, you're not going to actually have the traction. That's a lot of tire debris on the track there.
Look at that line. It's a very, very well defined.
I know we have a come on Lando in chat here. Yeah, 100. I mean, Lando's been doing this really well. Verstappen here on the radio.
Stroll pits in 2.2.
They're gonna tell Max is gonna pit here.
Okay, so this is what we need to watch. It is 25.2 seconds was the gap between him and Hamilton. The average pit time so far
25
has been 25
seconds.
So it was
a wicked fast pit stop
for Verstappen. And what his Perez was 4.5. So this is going to be extremely close. Hamilton coming down the main straight. Actually, it's not even going to be close at all. Wow. Wait a second. He's going to come out almost as good as he went in. That was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, he basically was able to keep. No, what exactly happened there is he had a 4-second gap on him the whole time. They basically mirrored pit stops. The same amount of time took for Hamilton was the same amount of time it took for Verstappen, give or take a few hundredths there. But
and he's got about a 5-second lead over Hamilton. So that was 4.7. Yeah, he was right on. So incredibly good stop for the Red Bull.
I couldn't hear what they were saying about the strategy. And it looks like, yeah, here there's actually a pressure thing that they're trying to do to the...
Oh, I see. There, you're right. The back left there on the Perez one got stuck.
Yep.
And really, you see that when Bottas came out, the difference was 1.5 seconds between Bottas and Perez, and the pit stop was 2 seconds longer. So really, that pit stop made a difference right now between fourth and fifth, where Perez and Bottas are sitting. I don't think Lando has actually.
No, Lando still hasn't pitted. He's
Okay,
still
so
on the softs. He's running on. They're running him on plan A, so they're making him go long on the softs and basically as long as he can on them, and then they'll switch him off, most likely to the mediums, and then finish the race on the mediums.
All right, so I think right now we're just getting intervals to the leader, right? So Bottas is only about 1.5 seconds behind, or 2 seconds behind Norris at the moment, if I'm reading that right. Ricardo
Live
moving up to 8th, although
timing chart looks frozen.
he hasn't pitted yet himself either, and neither has Leclerc, so some pits still to come.
The live timing chart is not frozen on my screen.
I'm only going off what they what's being shown on the broadcast here. And I think we will have a McLaren pit here in a second.
Yeah, this actually may be Ricardo though. I'm not sure if they. Nope, it's going to be Norris. Norris is going to go into the pit. So I'm assuming they're going to put the mediums on for this one.
Yeah, they're going yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll probably finish out the race, one-stop strategy, throw him on the mediums, and that'll be the rest of it. Then he should be able to slide in and Verstappen on the radio. Yeah, brake fine wire is there's an equalization problem on the brakes for Verstappen, and he wants the team to check it out. See there, and then both of the McLarens are going to be neck and neck here. Norris actually ends up pitting and finds himself right in front of Ricardo on the fresh tires. He should be able to make the pass on Raikkonen, and he does. That is actually pretty tricky, coming right out of the pits, having no warmth on the tires, but then again, you do have fresh tires, so the grip is a lot stronger, and you're should be able to slide on by. So good job there by Lando. He actually pits and finds himself at 6th. I don't think Sainz is pitted yet.
No, he hasn't.
So he should really sit himself back into 5th, which is pretty much where he was before. So the strategy there working out okay, Hamilton radio. He's complaining about the debris.
Well,
which, I mean, whatever. Everybody's got to deal with it.
Everybody's got to deal with it.
Yeah,
so whatever. I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Everybody can complain about it, but nobody's going to run onto the track and clean it for you right now, so.
Yeah.
It's something to deal with on your own.
Yeah, no pits yet for Sainz, Raikkonen, or Ricardo. So yeah, Norris will slot back into 5th once Sainz goes in.
Which means, I mean, they played their strategy right. They've kind of done what they've necessarily needed to. And, I mean, it's hard to be able to keep them up into the top 3 right there. And you can see everybody's back right tire there coming off of the ground, which is actually kind of neat to see. It's kind of funny. These cars go 3-wheel. Here Verstappen again on the radio. So basically Horner telling him that these are the laps that he needs to push, and these are what they're going to make the difference. Interesting. They're actually swapped to the hards. So they are pretty committed to the one-stop, both of them. And then, woo, oh my god, the AlphaTauri there almost took some of the gravel, and that could have been ugly. But yeah, this is the moment. So I guess this is where the engineers and the strategy people are looking at it, and they're trying to understand, do we have to do the second pit stop? And I think this is the moment where you kind of run in for the next 10 to 15 laps, you see where you're at, and then you're like, okay, we could actually make the race on just this one stop, or we'll actually have to 2-stop it.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if Mercedes
tries to 2-stop.
If Mercedes tries it, right? We saw
because you almost have nothing to lose. I think they're going to have enough gap to where it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like Red Bull came back and swung back at them last week in France with it. And at this point, yeah, they may not have anything to lose. Hamilton 4.5 seconds behind Verstappen is the interval, which really hasn't changed. It's always been hovering around this 4 or 5. Lewis saying that he did think that the Red Bull was going to be a little quicker this week, about quarter of a second or so was the pacing.
Verstappen again.
What are you saying about the last 10 to 12?
Yeah, so it's actually exactly what I was saying. It's like these are the next 10 laps where you kind of basically need to feel out where your tires are. It's like, all right, well, are we actually going to be able to make it to the end of the race? And that is a beautiful shot there in the countryside or the hillside of Austria. It is actually absolutely spectacular. But I think this is that moment to where we in the race last week we were like, this is where you pit, this is where you don't type deal. This is where they have to figure it out. Because the one thing that's kind of changed at this race that nobody really took into consideration is actually how freaking hot it is. And here Hamilton again. So Hamilton asking if he needs to manage his tires more, and Mercedes is telling him we're actually thinking the opposite. So please push harder. And bring the gap down. Mercedes probably also sitting there being like, we need to understand if your tires are going to make it and if you can actually close the gap.
So this is interesting here. Leclerc now in 9th, sitting behind Raikkonen and Ricardo, who have yet to pit. So despite the little incident, and actually his teammate Sainz in 5th also has yet to pit.
He'll
so despite the
find himself
incident
in
with the
7th.
wing, he's going to find himself a little bit better than that. He's probably going to find himself in 6th, actually, which is not far off where he started. That's probably exactly right where he started. Or
yeah, he
just
started.
about.
I'm pretty sure he started P6.
Yeah, so
I
or 7,
could be wrong.
one of the
It's
two.
P6 or 7 that he started.
Yeah. So that's actually a pretty nice for Ferrari, who had a dismal week in France last week. Both cars placing out of the points.
Yeah, they just struggle. The Ferraris just struggle so bad on the high-speed tracks. We saw them do so well on the street tracks and the lower speed corners and all that.
Monaco.
They are so bad on these high-speed tracks. And I think for next season they will figure it out, but they need to figure it out a little bit faster because they just get cooked on these high-speed tracks. Like they can't compete. They can't compete with Mercedes and Red Bull on these high-speed tracks. It's just not possible.
Monaco and Baku, not bad for them, but the other ones have been a bit of a struggle. All right, here we have Raikkonen into the. So here's the cycle.
And then Ricardo's going to box to overtake Raikkonen as well.
Good stop for Raikkonen, 2.7. Ocon at 2.5. This should be the last of the first pit cycle here. We got a Valtteri Bottas slow-mo.
Dude, those guys that are standing right there, that is terrifying. Those cars go right next to them, like within like an inch of them. And then that is one heck of a gash on the back right tire right there.
Yeah, but he's already pitted. Those are new, quote-unquote, tires. Right
and that's
there.
On that back right that actually comes off of the ground when you go into turn 3 right here. They don't show it, but that's the back right tire that actually like basically skips off of the track. It was happening a lot more, or it's coming up here, and it was happening a lot more in practice, but I think they've sort of like figured out the camber, so it happens less and less. But that's where you can get those big gashes in the back right. If it comes off of the, see right there, like on the Red Bull, the back right kind of like comes off of the ground. If it hits again, it'll just hit the flat spot and it'll cause that damage. So they have to be really careful with that. It's if you cut that corner too close, you absolutely lose it. You saw at the beginning of the race when he made the move on Lando went wide. And the whole point they're going so wide on that corner is to actually just not clip it and to not actually damage the tire. That's a pretty tough pit stop.
What an exit though, Leclerc. As Russell comes in right in front of him. That was an interesting one. So that little chase graphic that came up there on the screen projecting that Perez is actually trying to run Bottas down at the moment, and that is... Oh, that's the Williams car. Oh, that's George Russell. Done?
And it seems like as if... Wait.
What?
Oh, that must have been the problem that they were trying to fix in the pit stop, and then it just kind of persisted.
Ah, okay. So George Russell That's very unfortunate, right? We were talking earlier in the race about how this was an opportunity really for Russell, who had
And he was doing really well. He
started well.
did well. He made
Out.
Q2 again and made everything like that. So
Yeah. So Russell is out. That is 2 cars so far. Gasly and Russell have withdrawn from the race. Gasly with a gash in the back left tire that made essentially the car undrivable and too much damage to fix. That happened on lap 1. Hamilton just put in the fastest lap here.
yeah, I'm trying to.
Managing
I'm
to
looking at
knock off about 2/10 on the lead as Verstappen has to manage a bit of traffic here as he continues to try to push the pace. Well, I suppose Hamilton's also going to have to manage the traffic, because whoever Verstappen is passing, it's going to go right to Hamilton next. But yeah, Verstappen kind of racing his own race here for the time being. 12 coming into this, 12 points clear of Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, this is the situation where if you're Verstappen, you just need to finish the race and end in first or second, and you're kind of okay. But other than that, you will lose your points and you lose your stance. But ultimately, for these guys, it's just finish the race is the biggest
and
thing.
you're gonna have a chance for a repeat next week. So you get out of this one clean, you can follow it up with another good one. 30 laps to go here as we've knocked down 41 out of the 71 at the Red Bull Racing Ring here in Austria.
So with 30 laps left, you'll see in the next 10 to 15 if the two-stop strategy will play out.
Yep.
It's kind of like the moment of truth. And then if it doesn't, and here's Sainz making that move, you see once again on that turn 3, they all hit that bump. It's just brutal on the tires. It looks like Ferrari has antennas on the front to make sure the radio communication never goes awry. Don't know what that is. I feel like that wouldn't be helpful to have those things in the front of the car. Or am I crazy?
Yeah, all the cars are driving them, though. Have them.
Those antennas?
And yes.
Really?
Yes. You look at the.
Is that new?
Ones. I was also about to say something, but I was like, either
that wasn't there before.
Or like I've never seen this before, or like.
I've always seen the weird the things to create downforce on the front of the car. I've always seen those things that pop out, but I've never seen the antennas.
On every single one.
I've never seen the antenna thing, unless it's something they do just for this Styria. Unless it's just for this track, which it could be. For something, I don't know, but I've never seen that before.
No.
And then he's gonna make the move there. Is he gonna be able to make it? Oh, Kimmy! And Kimmy keeps it.
He's gonna try to make another move here now. Oh, he got him there.
Oh, he's gonna take the inside. Yeah, he's just got the pace. Kimmy doesn't have the car. It's just kind of sad.
Into the pit there. Here's the first pit for
Carlos.
Yeah.
And then that means they should be able to throw him on mediums, and he should be able to push all the way to the end of the race. He's only got 31 laps left, no?
He has less than 30. He's got 28.
Or they put him on the hards, and then he's going to go full stop all out on the rest, and that's a 2.2 second pit stop.
Ricardo just pit too.
Yeah. I guess they're throwing everybody. They're throwing everybody on the hards.
Yeah. That is going to be a two-stop.
Which I think is the track temp issue. Because the track temp is so freaking hot, I don't think they can run the softs and mediums. Oh, whoa. He almost just lost it on that. I don't know. That was one of the Alfa Romeos almost just lost it coming out of that turn there. And here, that's a McLaren and an Alpine going head to head. He's going to try to make the move. Ricardo going to try to make the move on. No, wait. That is a Williams.
Wait a sec. Nope.
No, that was just unlapping.
Yeah.
Right? I could have been wrong there. It looked like they were racing head to head. That was the thing. Also, with the track like this, they start lapping each other, which is kind of funny because you can look at the actual live track map that we have on stream here, and you have literally like Verstappen and Hamilton like completely all by themselves, and then you have everybody else.
Yeah, it is a bit of one of the shorter tracks. It's just why you're seeing 71 laps, because typically we've been seeing like races in like the 40s. 40s and 50s, but
I had to check.
I'm also not sure why the live track map is only showing like 4 cars now. Somebody is not happy.
well, that something just flew off that car.
This was mighty close.
Oh,
It did break.
he totally did take the front wing off.
Oh, that's what that was.
I'm surprised he didn't puncture the tire.
Well, after the start, Leclerc gave Pierre
Okay, so a piece of the front wing flew off the car. That was the, that's what went flying.
Wait, but Kimi sort of drove into him.
his sights on newer tires.
Well, I guess he might have gotten lucky and not actually hit the rubber part of the tire, but yikes.
Oh, so if you're looking at the live track map, I'm pretty sure it's only showing the top. I don't control the live track map, but I'm pretty sure it's controlling. It's only showing you the people in the top 5 because it's going to get too confusing if it's showing you the people that are lapped. So keep that in mind if you're looking at the live track map. Because
Also,
now that I'm
all
thinking
the
about it,
cars-
it would be impossible if you had everybody on there.
Look, all the cars have their little radio thing up front now.
That is so weird.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll have to look that up. And yeah, and Paulo says Sainz is having a good race. Yeah, he's doing well as well. This is they're just going one stop between him. He's going to make the move here, maybe on Stroll 6 and
Trying to
7
make
here.
the
He's
move
going to
on
then
Stroll.
take the outside. Stroll's going to take the inside. You see the back right tire go off of the ground there on turn 3. Is he going to have enough pace on the inside?
Yeah.
On the next
Yeah.
corner, though, he's got to make it through this one. Yeah, he should be fine there. Nice move there by Carlos.
Yeah, he's way clear here. Carlos puts himself into 6th. He's still got a little ways to go to get to Norris, and
Yeah, I
Norris
don't
actually
think they're
has a
gonna make
little
it.
ways to go to get to
Here's
Perez.
Hamilton radio.
Big gap between Norris and Perez. Even it's 31 seconds.
And then
Between fourth and fifth.
Hamilton asking how much are we losing on the straights to them, and I couldn't hear the actual numbers that he gave, but it was definitely not the answer he was looking for.
I'm gonna tell you that it's a lot, because last time we checked in on the Verstappen Hamilton, it was 4.2 seconds, and right now, it's 5.6. So I think the answer is a lot. They don't really need. Do you really need to qualify it more than that?
Yeah, it's just not working out very well for
I mean,
him.
I think we checked in like 5 laps ago, and they've been losing like 0.2 a lap, basically. Like the way that this is going. Leclerc trying to make the move on Giovinazzi, and that one's an easy one. Leclerc up to 11th. Vettel is next to try to get both Ferraris into the points.
Yeah, they all have the thing on the front. I feel like that's got to be
Yeah,
a
they
new
do.
thing.
They
It's
do.
totally
They
got to
all-
be a new thing.
thought
I
was
have not
crazy
seen
too at the
that.
start of this.
It's
I
got to
don't
be.
know if
It's
it's-
got to be something for this track.
Maybe because they're in the mountains or something, and like they have bad cell service. They can't communicate.
I have no idea. I'll definitely have to look that up.
And Hamilton fastest lap at the moment, he would get the extra world championship point.
Let's see. I'm trying to look through the intervals here. What else is it? Well, so we've gone another lap, and Hamilton has lost another 2/10.
Yeah.
So he's basically losing 2/10 a lap at the moment.
But is that I now? I
On the
wonder if
same
that's
tire
because
compound, by the way.
I wonder if that's also because he's. Yeah, I mean, if you're Mercedes, you're kind of.
Perez can't catch Bottas at the moment. He's been keeping this like 2.5 second. Bottas has been keeping this.
No,
2.5 second
honestly,
lead.
if you're Bottas, I'd be so mad because he should be in Hamilton's position chasing Verstappen.
Well, if it wasn't for that.
If it wasn't
penalty,
for his
yeah.
penalty, he would be up there.
Perez is making ground though. He was about 2.2. He's at 1.6. We might have some action. We've had some action between 3rd and 4th earlier in the race when Bottas overtook Perez. Perez might be trying to do it right back to him. Although we were kind of saying, are you actually going to put out a flyer and go on this 2-stop strategy? Here, you probably have the next 5 laps to make that
Do
decision.
it. Yeah, you have the next 5 laps to make the decision, but I don't think they're going to be able to make, because then he's got to make up, 26 seconds, 27 seconds on a new set of tires? It just doesn't, I don't
Right,
think
and
it's
so
enough time.
Unless you go onto the softs. I was reading that the softs are about half a second.
Here's
about
Bottas's.
5/10, right? So actually don't even have the time to do that. If your softs were, you'd need like, yeah, it wouldn't work.
Now, surface temperature gets too high, you got to not let them slide, and then like sliding around.
Yeah, so Bottas was talking about he isn't necessarily gaining on, or Perez is gaining on Bottas, but Bottas was basically saying to his team is like, at a certain point, like I actually can't keep going so fast because the tires are getting so hot that I'm gonna just slide all over the track. So this is what I was talking about before. It's really interesting when you make passes on this track and you actually try to use the pass, you can only do it at certain times because your tires can't get so hot to the point where you're actually like, you make them so like you're gonna lose traction on them when they get so hot. So you actually have to be very careful about when you like super push and when you're just pushing. Like you almost have to cool down the tires on certain laps. You saw that a lot during qualifying. It's a different situation in qualifying because obviously they're just going for the fastest lap possible. But you would see that it would take 1 or 2 laps for these cars to actually cool the tires down and then cool the turbos to be able to fully go again. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think Bottas is basically touching on that point there. He's like, I can't keep going so fast because the tires are literally getting too hot, and I'm gonna slide off the track.
Yeah, we had some. So interesting. I wonder if the tire pressure change after Baku is actually helping the situation a little bit because
there shouldn't be tire.
Right?
The tire degradation on this track should not be a problem. The only actual problem on this track is the fact that it's so hot. It's not.
Right,
it's not a tire degradation problem.
If your tire pressure is lower, you are allowing it to be, and it heats up. Essentially, you're allowing the tire, right? Temperature increases pressure.
Yeah,
yeah. Right. So you're giving yourself some room there. Otherwise, we'd I don't know, we'd have tires blowing out all over the.
Yeah, I mean, they also could have. I mean, there's also adjustments they make. What's the gap between Verstappen and Hamilton right now? It's 6.5 seconds, Matthew.
Oh, 6. Okay, 6.5. It hasn't gotten worse for Hamilton, but it hasn't gotten better either. So.
Why is my? Yeah, that's weird. Sorry, the live timing thing says it like stopped. There we go. It should be updated now.
You might have to click on your window. Sometimes it refreezes, and it'll refresh if you just click on your.
Yeah, I got it now. Now it should be up to date there, Matthew. Sorry about that.
21 laps to go here, so decisions to be made. Yeah, 6.6 seconds is the interval. You got 23 seconds behind, and so it's really just a 1-2 up in front. And this is the replay here of Leclerc going up on Vettel. Ooh, some lock up there.
Just cuts across.
Oh man, they get so close there. Front left, back right.
Here we go. Now I'm back. I mean, when do you? So this is my question. When you're Mercedes, at what point are you like, hey Hamilton, you need to show us how actually fast you can go and if you can actually close the gap down. If not, when do you just go pit? Because
what are you gonna do if you pit now? You put 25 seconds of pit. You'd be 31 seconds behind. You're gonna end up behind Perez.
You at least go. No, but you'd be able to pass. No, yeah, they're screwed.
Where?
Hold on, here's the Hamilton radio.
Seconds?
Yeah, the 2-stop for Mercedes is not going to work. They're going to they're going to go until the they're going to just go until the end of the race on these tires. They did exactly what we were saying and kind of looking at the numbers, and it just doesn't really work out. It's better off most likely for him to just keep going.
25 seconds would put you almost behind Norris. You'd
Here's
be
Verstappen
lucky if
radio.
You came out fifth.
Something he complained about, but it's related to the. Oh, the brake pads that he's saying on the. Alright, okay, that's fair enough.
I didn't catch it. What was it?
The brake pads necessarily, when he's going on turn 9 and 10, the brake pads aren't actually fully connecting.
I mean, it really hasn't
really
caused him much of an issue.
Yeah,
just
that's
gained
so
another
Paulo.
second
That's
on
what I was
Hamilton.
also looking at because the gap between Hamilton and him are actually it's actually 23 seconds, but then Bottas would come out in front, and it's around 25 seconds for Steppen here again.
Like, we never take any curve, man. What the f is that?
Let's just not take any undue risk here, Max.
I'll try to take care there, but it's really random what happens.
Yep, understood.
He's complaining about.
If you stay off the curbs,
Wait.
what's that going to cost you?
Yeah, look, it's random is the word that caught my attention.
He's basically saying every time he's going on the curb, he's hitting it, and the brake is not. It's not actually like connecting and braking, I think is what he's complaining about. So basically, he's like, you just have to stay off the curbs, which you have to realize these Formula One drivers use the curves to set the fastest lap times. Here's Verstappen again.
Okay, Max, so specifically the issue is braking turn 10 whilst on the curb. Just for information.
The specific problem as being communicated is when he brakes on turn 10 and goes over the corner on turn 10. So basically, Horner's like, it's not happening on every lap. It's only happening on turn 10. This is how you fix it. So hopefully that gets communicated. But so I think they've identified the problem there.
Yeah, and he's got plenty clear too right now. I mean, friend, the lead is massive. 7.6 seconds is an eternity. Like, he might, he's almost racing an entire different sector at this point. He's about to pass Ricardo too, I think. Yeah, he's about to put Ricardo a lap down. Is Verstappen. Perez still can't manage to quite get to Bottas.
Yeah, Perez is
1.6
still
seconds.
1.6 seconds from him. I feel like he's going to probably make the push at the end of the race. Maybe I think they're just trying to nurse the tires. Similar idea to how Hamilton then passed Verstappen on the last laps and like the last 2 laps here. All your tires go for it type deal. And here's Hamilton radio. Front right complaining about blistering. You can actually see it on the tire.
Yep,
you can see it. It clearly is blistering. And he's still got 71 minus 55, 16
17.
or so laps left to go. So there's still a lot of time that he still needs to get through on those tires with that much blistering. The problem is though, you can't. I don't think. I mean, the 2-stop strategy wouldn't have worked for Hamilton because you can't make up 33 seconds on the new set of tires. Basically, is what they're looking at. Here's going to be a Leclerc move here on Yuki. Leclerc uses takes the outside line, not able to get it. Good job by Yuki playing great defense there, actually.
Yeah, the difference was that you
Oh, he
saw
locked up there. That's why he wasn't able to make that full move.
in France and in
then Perez
Spain.
is going to be picked.
Oh wow,
Is going to be
Perez
pitted here, but that makes sense because of the
gap between
him and Norris. He's safe to pit. Nobody will ever actually get close to him.
Oh, that's true. But they were trying to give. But they're trying to.
So
give
now
him,
they basically tell him, "Here's your new fresh tires, and then go chase Perez. Go get Bottas type deal."
Go get Bottas, right? That's why they did it, because they were only a second and a half behind. The difference was in Spain and in France, we were seeing that if you went onto the other set of tires, you were gaining about a second per lap. But the difference isn't as big here. Yeah, the difference between even the soft and the hard compounds is only about half a second, so it's just not enough. There's just not enough of a difference to make it happen. But being only 1.5 seconds behind, you might be able to pull it off. It'd be really interesting to see if Perez can do it. The other thing is, if Perez can't do it, like if this Perez strategy does not work, right, at all, then you know the Hamilton one wasn't going to work either. Because
I would also say there is a difference there though. The Red Bull is faster.
Sure, but you say, okay, so Red Bull did a 2-pit strategy and had to go and make up a second and a half. You would have to see how far ahead Perez finishes over Bottas, right?
Yeah, it's actually. The Ferraris again. Nice move there by Leclerc. Leclerc's just hunting right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wants his 6th position back.
I hear a question in chat. How do you think Mick Schumacher's going or Hamilton rating?
8.8, gap 8.0.
Rating.
I don't understand. 8.8 and 8.0, what's that? The gap 8.0. What should I do? I options are just battling it out.
Where's the wiggle? Little wiggle there.
Hamilton basically being told the gap is 8 seconds, and he's asking them, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "I can't do anything." And the guy's just like, "Keep racing."
What?
And he
Yeah,
just
drive
like,
faster.
yeah, like the conversation was very mute. Unfortunately, they're both like, there's nothing we can really do here. And how do you think? Question in chat: how do you think Mick Schumacher's going to get on this season? I mean, I think he's actually just. It's a pretty terrible situation. I mean, I think everybody understands the situation in the Haas. I mean, you're basically there for next season. They've invested all their money for next season. They've invested basically everything for the future. This car is basically a remake of last year's car, and they've like sort of tweaked it to try it. So he's not going to do that well. This is kind of a learning season for him. Put it this way, he's just got to do better than Mazepin, which he is. So that's good. He's just got to get his experience. I mean, he was F2 champion, so he's had a lot of stuff going on, but he's just really got to like. This is an experience year for him. Next year will be interesting because they actually have the new car and they actually sort of invested into it, so he actually may have a shot. I mean, here every single race he's going to be bottom 15 every time. He's actually had some pretty good qualifying runs too, so I mean, he is a good driver. He has the ability. I mean, it's just really hard when you're kind of stuck in that car. It's similar. Russell, I think next year you'll see him be more like Russell in the sense of like Russell is in that Williams car. And he kind of stretches to the limit, and he will Q2 qualify sometimes, and he will do even better. So I think that's kind of the situation Schumacher will find himself next year. I just don't think he has the car to basically show that or do it right now. He can do much better than Mazepin. He showed that he's a better driver than him, but other than that. Mbappe to Liverpool, yeah, not going to happen unless somebody decides to fork over a few $100 million, which we don't have because the Super League didn't happen.
I was about
and
to make
Hamilton
a comment here
radio
on Perez.
So just be careful with the track limits, Lewis. We're looking at a penalty otherwise.
Now, even worse news for Hamilton, being told that he needs to adhere to the track limits, or there's going to be a
9.5. He's lost another second and a half.
And yeah, we don't have enough money to buy him. We don't have an oil well in our backyard, unfortunately.
But the interesting piece here was that Perez came out of the pit lane. The gap was 21 seconds.
And now he's down to
shaved
14.
That down to 15 in this. So he's basically shaving. Okay, this was 2.7 seconds on the last lap. I was going to say it was an average of 1 second per lap. He has 12 laps to go. He is right on the edge of actually making this pass happen. So this was the two-stop strategy that we thought might be possible, and to see
Perez
whether
radio.
it actually pans out.
10.5. Struggling with his back markers. We're going to be on him at the end of the race.
Communication basically between Bosa and Checo, Checo and his crew is keep going, and you'll be on him at the end of the race. Striking distance within 7 laps gives him around 40 seconds to actually get past. And yeah, Mbappe will not go to Spurs. Spurs does not have enough money for that. But I think you should sell Kane. It's a quick $120 million that you could probably make and turn around and actually invest it right. Not the way how you invested when you bought Bale. Anyways, back to F1.
Little detour there.
Similar sports.
Yeah, well, it's okay. We can cover multiple sports all at once.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew mentioned earlier that the Euro match today is actually fantastic. I totally forgot about it. It's Belgium versus Portugal at 3. So if you're around the television, you should watch it. And then Leclerc's going to try to make the move here on Stroll, someone that we actually haven't talked about, but I should touch on. And then he's going to make the move and get in front of Stroll. Leclerc is hunting. That's got to be 4 to 5 passes that he has there. And then Stroll's, I think, going to try to make the move back, but I don't think he's going to have enough pace. Yeah, the Aston Martins have been doing okay at this track, but they just can't seem to have actually enough pace through the corners to make the pass.
I feel like Leclerc has gone through the lineup.
Yeah, he's
twice.
literally passed everybody like 10 times. Yeah, I don't know what that. I feel bad for that kid because he's literally been working his tail off the entire time. Every single time someone's passing someone, it's literally Leclerc passing them.
Most passes in a race.
It's got to be him. No, he has the
now.
record, or Verstappen has the most passes for the record, but he's got to be close to. He's
mean,
passed the entire field. He started in 15th like every time he's pitted, and then ended up in 7th.
Yeah, exactly. So he's gone through the order several times. He might end up getting his
Yeah,
teammate, but when it's all
Paulo
said
saying
and
in
done-
chat here, Leclerc is driver of the day. I mean, yeah. He's
Well, yeah,
he's
look,
had a
'cause
plate
he
of blinder,
started-
yeah.
He started 7th, right? He had the wing issue. He had to go all the way to the back.
Yeah, that's
then he
actually
got back to
true. He
7th,
had to.
Then he pitted again, and now he's back to 7th.
I mean, you look at his time right now at 25 seconds. He's in 6th, right? He
Yeah.
lost it here for Verstappen. How do they understand each other? I can't understand anything he said.
I don't know.
Do you think Horner's just like, yeah, understood? Like, yeah, I don't know what you said, but just keep racing. Like, how do you understand what he's saying? It's a nice picture of the greenery.
Of the greenery. That's a good way to put it. 10 laps to go here, and Perez still with 12
Yeah, I guess this is
seconds to knock off.
the big thing for us to basically watch here is on my live timing it still says Leclerc is 10th.
Well, he should
I
be
guess
7th.
I gotta leave it open.
Oh, that is a not so good looking cloud there. There was a threat. There's been threats of rain all weekend actually. The qualifying and the practices missed the rain. The rain actually came in.
Yeah,
in
it
the
actually came in
afternoon.
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
But
oh
there
my
was
God,
a
if it
threat of
starts raining in the last 10 laps of this race, it will be hilariously crazy and ridiculous. And yeah, thank you, Matthew. I think I can't. I have to like leave that window open all the time. You can't like hide it. And then there's, I think that's the Bottas. Well, that blister's been on the car for the last 15 laps though.
Yeah, that is the same.
That's not new.
Not new.
It's not new at all. And there is the radar, which
Yeah, a little bit of some.
I mean, honestly, so this is actually pretty interesting because
It's
when the
cooling
clouds,
off.
yeah, so when the clouds did come over the track yesterday, the cloudier parts of the track, it's crazy that this makes a difference. But when the cloud goes over the track, it makes it like 10, 15 degrees cooler, and you get so much more traction. You actually get a few tenths of a second. We actually saw last week, or during qualifying, they were actually trying to do their qualifying laps on the cloudier parts of the track, and they were getting better track times. It was fascinating. Literally, when the sun is not hitting it, you go faster. The smallest margins, it's bonkers, to be honest with you.
Well, right now the cloud cover is over the entire.
Now
track,
it's the over track, so
everyone is in the shade.
everybody's going to be able to rip faster lap times here. It's good. Jesus.
Unless Perez really starts throttling this thing, I don't know if he's going to make it. He's got 8 laps to go and 10 seconds to do it. Okay, that last lap was a 1.7 faster interval, so now he really has to push it. Verstappen just has to finish the race. He's got 12 seconds lead over Hamilton. This thing has doubled since, in the last 10 to 15 laps. He's just got to finish cleanly and make sure nothing happens in front of him. And it should be a wire-to-wire pole win for Verstappen here in rather easy
The
fashion.
DRS portion, so if you're looking at the live track map, it's the yellow port. It's basically where you can see it on the straightaways. So where Perez is right now, that's one DRS zone, and then you have a second DRS zone where Hamilton is, and then right where Verstappen is on the main straight too. So you have 3 DRS zones on this track, which is very different than most tracks. Which it makes it really exciting because there's so much passing, and they're typically average. I mean, the average speed on this track is around like 200 miles an hour. Yeah, there's the antenna again.
Yeah, see,
Everybody's got it. But that was not there 3 weeks
That
ago.
was not there last week.
No, definitely wasn't. Because I would have said something stupid about it, and I didn't. Because it looks so dumb.
It does look.
It's like, why?
You're just like,
And it's
just
not
added
create. It's
drag to the
definitely
car.
not. Yeah, it's literally adding drag. It's
Not
not.
aerodynamic.
It's not creating downforce
Although
at
the
all.
Mercedes one is like this shark fin, so
Yeah, that probably creates downforce at the same time
Yeah,
because they're
they-
geniuses like
they
that.
probably managed to turn it into an advantage somehow. Looks like okay, it's going to be a
It's
battle
close.
for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, 3rd
the
and 4th
podium
is
is
the
going to
big
be
one.
interesting here because Perez continues to knock down times, and he's got 6 seconds to go. It's going to be incredibly close. It looks like Norris is going to finish in 5th, barring any disaster.
You can try to unlap yourself. I can't. It would be very risky for both guys. No one on main side.
He's done it now.
He's done it, yeah.
And it looks like the
Wait.
Ferraris are going to have a better showing here this
He just
week,
said-
6th and 7th.
He just said it's too risky to unlap himself, and then he just unlapped himself.
At the moment.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
I don't understand.
Yeah,
He was
see,
sort
so
of-
their driver of the day going to go to Leclerc, which is probably well deserved.
Oh yeah, that actually is Paolo. That actually is a really interesting point there. Hamilton did have the fastest lap, and basically by running Perez on the mediums, you take another point away from Mercedes and Hamilton because you give Perez the fastest lap instead.
And
That's
I don't
actually
think Hamilton's going to get a fastest lap right now.
no shot. Those tires are not making it. I mean, the gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It is clear the advantage the Red Bull has on this track. Mercedes is no longer the fastest car on the track, which for F1 is probably a good thing.
7.7 seconds still, 5 laps. I don't think Perez is going to make it, which means that the two-strap strategy was
Not
not
important.
going to be the right move for Mercedes either, which basically meant they were just stuck. The gap, when we were talking about it, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen was 6.5 seconds.
Is he getting
Perez
caught in
couldn't even make up
traffic?
1.5.
I wonder if that's the problem. If he's getting stuck in traffic.
More traffic than Verstappen?
No, I'm saying
They're
is
both,
Perez
like-
getting stuck in traffic? Because the
Oh.
gap from Bottas, like Bottas made, like they're on basically completely different parts of the track. Or not, I mean not completely, like 7, but
I see.
I can't. They haven't shown a picture of Perez, so I can't tell like if he's had to go through it. But that also could have been the problem. They should probably show that because that's like the most important part. But it's fine.
We're on board with Raikkonen at the
Here's
moment.
Kimi.
In 12th.
Vettel here trying to get the points.
Vettel trying to get the points, although he's one place out of it at the moment. Sonoda in 10th. Be a good finish for him.
It would actually. This would be a really nice finish for Sonoda, and then the McLaren there got blue flagged as well, so he has to let Bottas. Whoa, almost lost it there. Juice on that turn. That was good save.
Yeah. Okay, the two-stop strategy didn't work, so it's not going to happen. He's got to make up 7 laps, and he has 4 laps to do it, and his last lap was only about a second faster. So he's actually going to end up about 2.5, maybe 3 seconds behind, so which was twice the
Oh,
gap
the
originally.
Aston Martin
What a
goes so
spin.
wide there.
Almost a spin.
But I also think Kimi went wide too. I think they're both on just no tires. Yeah, Bo, it's a really, even just for 1 point, 2 points. I mean, 2-point advantage just like that, just a flicker. You never know in the future. But it's. I mean, they're going for everything. They're minimizing and maximizing every single advantage that they can take, which is as they should in this situation.
Points-wise,
Here's
though, he actually
Hamilton.
ends up 1 better, to your point, because he gets an extra point for fastest lap, and he still ends up in 4th. So
And then I
They
think
tried
they
for
were
third,
just
but-
telling Hamilton, obviously, just finish the race here.
Kimi Raikkonen, he's got the record for the most Grand Prix starts. Laps raced.
yeah, so Perez is gonna be a net +1 on the move, basically. Although unfortunately the podium position doesn't look like it's gonna happen.
Kimi tried to make that move there on the inside, but he lost traction, then had to go right back out. Didn't have the tires to be
have
able to
another
do it. He's
shot at
going
it
to try to
here.
go for it again on Vettel. Both of the veterans going right at it. As we used to see 10 or so years ago, those two battling at the top for first. Now they are battling for 11th and 12th. But hey, they still get to drive these Formula 1 cars, so it's not a bad deal.
I'm wondering why Lewis is asking that question. He must be watching the TV somewhere. He's watching one of the big screens, isn't he?
Drivers do that.
Yeah.
I find it amazing that they've got the capacity to watch what's going on in front of them and see TV screens as well.
Nice.
Bottas is half a lap
Who's
behind.
better, Messi or Ronaldo? That's a hot take. Overall, this is what I always say with this decision, or with this topic.
While he's driving.
Messi, here's a Norris radio.
Lando, a few drops possible, nothing significant.
Few drops of rain, nothing much more than that. Messi is a better overall footballer and player. Ronaldo is a better goal scorer. So pick what you want. If you want a better overall all-around player to make your team work, then you pick Messi. If you just want a goal scorer, you pick Ronaldo. It's kind of how I look at it.
That's interesting.
Are they?
And then Hamilton's going to be
They're gonna-
pitted for the fastest.
It,
This is just in case.
Hamilton.
There's also
Okay.
safety car or rain or whatever.
Yeah, I guess it. Wait.
Try to nick the fastest lap point back.
Wait, did it just start raining? Is that what you're seeing there on the camera?
Yeah, they put him on the softs. He's just going to go for the fastest lap.
Wow, he's going to try to get a point back here. So if you're Red Bull, you just basically tell Perez, you better go. Like, and go hard.
Ronaldo equals greatest of all time. Messi equals not. Doesn't that mean they're all not?
Let's see if Hamilton is actually able to pull this off. He's got 2 laps to do it. Actually,
the Perez gap is less than 1 second. It's less than 2 seconds.
Less than 2 seconds on the final lap. He's gonna. It's gonna be very close.
Hamilton's still got a bit of time to get to the checkered flag after taking that second pit stop.
Well, Matthew, you will be able to see Ronaldo play this afternoon, so it should be good. We'll see what he's able to do against Belgium. I still want to see who's in front of them because it's hard to tell if they have to actually get through.
Like, now he's finally cranking. He should have cranked it like 5 laps ago.
I'm telling you, there had to be something with there had to be something with traffic because it doesn't really make much sense. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to base off international trophies and stuff like that, 100%. Messi's never won anything with Argentina, so I mean, based off of that, I mean, Messi to make himself the greatest of all time, he still needs to win a World Cup, which I don't think will ever happen.
Yeah, so basically Red Bull told Perez to really turn it on because Hamilton was going to try to take this fastest lap away from him. And we are going to have Verstappen.
Wait, we're looking at Verstappen taking the checkered flag, and Perez is still on the lap behind, trying to chase down. He's got DRS on Bottas. But we still, yeah, we're still watching Perez here. Is going to be able to make the move on Bottas. Bottas is going to have to play defense. He's going to have DRS on the last straight here. He's going to be able to make the move. He's still got basically half a lap basically to go. He's still going. Nice line by both of them.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think he's going to get him. He's going to have to get him on the next one, and I think Hamilton's going to take.
He's going to come up a lap short.
Yeah, he came up a lap short.
Lewis is going to take fastest lap. Oh, it didn't. Oh my goodness, the gamble.
Wow.
Wow.
That was close.
Going to take the extra point.
Lewis is able to steal that extra point away from Red Bull. Here's the radio. Should be happiness.
Wire to wire here. Damn. That little
I love how they complain about the car the whole time, and then they're like, the car was fantastic.
Yeah. Lewis gonna steal an extra point, a little cheeky there at the end.
But it shows that they could have, Red Bull maybe could have pulled trigger a lap or two earlier, told them to push a little harder, and I think they would have had it.
They would have had it. That's what we were saying. They missed it by about a lap or two, and they should have seen that.
Then again, I'm still curious if there was traffic or something. That's why I was really curious about it, because I felt like they must have been stuck behind something because the gap was staying there so, like, it was the same for so long. Here's Hamilton radio.
Good job today. So we've got fastest lap. P2.
They gave it everything, guys. Let's keep pushing. Not the result we wanted, but still got good points.
Take off the margin for the second pit stop.
I mean,
call it 15 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton. How the Mercedes turned
yeah, so kind of interesting what the F1 commentators are actually saying here is, like, so if you actually take out that pit stop, there's only a 15-second gap between him and Verstappen, right? So your Mercedes sitting here and you're racing at this track next week. You have to make up 15 seconds on the track.
That's enormous.
While Red Bull is also making their car faster. I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Yeah,
I don't. That's not easy.
Oh, there goes the
He
sign.
always hits it. I think they do it on purpose. I would probably hit it too. And then he's gonna see his token celebration. I think he's gonna sit on the.
So it's now the 17th time in Formula One history that Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas have stood on a podium together.
Or no, different celebration this time. But you can see, yeah, as Paolo says in the chat here, if they would have gone one or three, if they would have done it a few more laps earlier, they would have gone 1-3, 100%. I do think that's factual because they totally
Red
had
Bull
it. They
would
were
have
so
gone
close.
1-3, you mean?
But overall, not bad for Red Bull, right? You still get 1-4. It's Mercedes 2-3. It's not overall. They extend their gap a little bit, but if you're Mercedes, you're sitting here and you have a big question mark on the delta.
Yep. You sure do. You're going to have to come up with a different pit strategy for next week, I think.
You just need to find more pace in the car, too. The car needs to be faster. The car
was off.
You kind of see in Hamilton and in their body language and stuff. They're just like, what do you want me to do? Like, what more can I do?
Oh, is there a crack in the?
Yeah,
in the car
I'm sure there's a crack in the carbon fiber.
Bottas probably, you know, a little bit there.
He's definitely disappointed because he should have. I mean, he would have qualified and probably came second.
Yep.
Like his car was. This was the first time I saw them pretty much equal on pace, or Bottas was actually faster than Hamilton. So this is like the first time where they were super equal, and kind of just super disappointing for him, especially when the team's telling you to do that and you just try something new. I understand it was dangerous, and I understand like he actually could have caused harm to someone, but it wasn't like he wasn't purposely trying to do that. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a little aggressive. I think 3 positions was a little much on that, especially when like I don't know. I thought it was a little too much. I think
the 3 position penalty is kind of standard. I mean, because Sonoda got a 3 position penalty.
No, it's true, but I think like for something like that, I thought it was a little too harsh. But fair enough. Now the standings here, they will extend a little more. You have Red Bull at 252, Mercedes at 212 here. Max chugging as much water as he can because I'm sure his suit is filled with all his sweat. So. There we go there. I think we'll leave the pictures up here on Discord for you all to be able to watch that. But I think from here, this should wrap up our coverage of this race, the Styrian Grand Prix. Next week, we will have the Austrian Grand Prix, but we will be away. We will actually be on vacation, so we will not have that. I will see if there's a way we can still get it on Discord, if someone can stream that for us. But we'll let you know and keep you posted.
And then we'll be back for Silverstone.
And then the best race of them all, and Silverstone will be at full capacity, 60,000.
So we'll be back live for that one. Thanks everybody for joining. Sorry for the tech difficulties. It's kind of hard to do it remote.
Hey, but we managed. So thank you very much, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.